Welcome to After the Horn. Ron Zappolo and Woody Paige joining you once again. We've got a very special guest today, and I think, Woodrow, it's only fair that you do the introduction. He was a co-worker and a friend.
I know the entire nation will be excited to find out that the second greatest panelist in the history of Around the
Who
Horn.
was the first?
is joining us. Tim Cowlishaw, who came close, finished second in every record that was ever existing on Around the Horn. 23 years on a show nationally that went all over the world, 188 nations, and he had the ability to finish second in everything that we did.
Tim, is
Tim
this
Cowlishaw.
fair?
He is the Dallas Morning News great columnist and has been forever. And I've known him since he's a beat writer. And when he was a beat writer, I wouldn't have anything to do with him because I didn't deal with beat writers.
That's true.
None of that is fair, right, Tim?
Woody could hear my footsteps. He knew I was coming for him on Around the Horn. I was doing more shows than he was at the end. He could see the writing on the wall or on the chalkboard. And so he pulled the plug on the show. He told ESPN, let's get rid of this show. Reality's no good. I'll do a podcast. So I finished number 2. I'll take it. Out of all the people that are on the show, for me to be number 2 is quite an honor.
We've had Mina Kimes on the show, Tony Reale, and we've asked them both about the same question. What about doing the show, and you did it for a quarter of a century basically, that you miss about being part of that adventure that we had for so long?
I mean, really, this part, the part before the show, the conference calls when we joke around, and then the part when we'd sit down and before we start rolling, Tony would always be late, so we'd talk for 15 minutes or whatever, and talking to the producers and talking to the other panelists, and the people you and I got to know. Some of them weren't even in the business when the show started, and some were, but it was just you were part of a national discussion, and it wasn't so much seeing the actual show, because I hardly ever, after the first couple of years, I hardly ever watched it. Don't tell anybody. I hope that didn't affect the ratings. But just being in that chemistry 2 or 3 times a week. At the start, it was 5 days a week for you. It was 3 or 4 for me. But even through all those years, doing it a couple times a week, 3 times a week, 100 shows a year, 120 shows a year. I mean, it was, like you said, it was almost a quarter of a century. When you think about it, that's a long run, and it's just that part of your life is suddenly gone.
Well, it's a great week, we believe, here to reunite you and me, because the teams playing here in Denver this weekend are the Dallas Cowboys,
yes,
and the Denver Broncos. And not
Super Bowl
only has this been a pretty good rivalry for 2 teams that don't play very much, and I'll get into that, but what has occurred in Denver and Dallas over the last couple of weeks has been beyond stunning almost. What you've been involved with from the beginning of the season and the trade that occurred in Dallas, and what Denver just went through over the weekend with one of the greatest comebacks in the history of the National Football League, or any sport for that matter. But how are you finding the season?
It's taken so many turns from the Dallas standpoint. I didn't think they'd be very good. I picked them to go 6-11, and then they traded Micah Parsons 4 days before the season began. And the editor asked me, "Do you want me to change your prediction?" I said, "No, I think I've already got them down far enough. I think 6-11 still feels right." And I felt good about that really until this last weekend. This last weekend is the first time you could watch the Cowboys, and they beat Washington by 22 points. And I know Washington was missing both its wide receivers, but the pressure they were getting on Daniels, they didn't get pressure on anybody the first few weeks. The offense has performed at a ridiculous level. It's the first time in Cowboys history they've gone 4 straight weeks without a turnover. and Dak has 14 touchdowns, and your old guy Javonte Williams has about 6. So the offense is scoring 32 points a game, and now there's some idea defense is going to show up. I'm still not convinced. I don't think I will pick them to beat Denver, but I think maybe Dallas is changing some minds, and maybe some other teams are going down in the NFC. In the AFC, I talked to Kevin Harlan yesterday because I want to know what he thought about the end of that Denver game, because he's called so many great games, and he pointed out to me that I didn't even know. Denver's got, as you know, 2 losses. One they're both either by last-minute field goals or, really close games. The Chargers with a late field goal, and the other one was. So they're not far from 7-0, although they don't strike you. I'm sure for 3 quarters you
Tim,
weren't thinking this should be a 7-0 team.
Yeah, they've
watching
also got a couple of wins the last 2 weeks by 1 and 2 points. So
yeah, they could be 3 and 4. They could be 7.
Hey, do you think that Dallas has fixed their defense enough?
No. I'll stop you right there. I think you have to acknowledge Washington was missing Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuels, a key offensive line piece. The running back is a rookie, even though he'd been doing well. Daniels left the game on the first possession of the third quarter, so there's no time to kind of make adjustments or right the ship. They just run the ball when Mariota gets in there. So I think it's too soon. I mean, they're a week removed from giving Rico Dowdle over 200 yards from scrimmage and 183 rushing yards. So I don't think fixed. I think they're starting to show they might get to be, if they could be like an average or below average defense, if they just got to get away from being 32nd in total defense and 31st in points. You can't win with that. If they could get to be in the low 20s in those things, their offense is good enough. They could be a team.
Well, that division that Dallas is in, and people know about the history of the relationships between the Washington and Dallas team, the Philadelphia Cowboys series over the last years has been incredible, and it's really hard to put a finger on either that division or the AFC North.
Yep.
I mean, when you just go,
right.
What are the New England Patriots suddenly coming in out of the woodwork?
I mean, for the last 2 weeks, for 7 quarters, the New York Giants have clearly been the best team in the division. They clobbered Philadelphia, and they got a 19-0 road lead at Denver. I don't know how that fourth quarter is going to affect a young team, but I think the Giants are even still a problem going forward. And Philadelphia, I don't know if they will run the ball all year. I don't know if Saquon Barkley in the running game will ever get going. Obviously, they can throw it and play defense. But yeah, that division has gone from Philadelphia Super Bowl champion and Washington NFC championship game to I think the best teams in the NFC are Detroit and maybe the Rams. Who knows?
And I keep looking at the 49ers and I go, how are they tied for first place? I don't know how they're doing it.
I don't think that can last. When you've lost Bosa and Warner, you can play with that for a little while on emotion, but that seems like too much.
Hey, Tim, let me ask you about a couple of Cowboy players who I think are intriguing. All we ever heard about was that George Pickens was a problem in Pittsburgh, and it appears from afar here that he has fit in seamlessly in Dallas. Is that the case?
Yeah, and I've written about him several times because, like Woody, I write the same column over and over and just try to disguise it because I've run out of ideas at this point. But no, I said this was the best offseason move they've made in the last 5 years. And there were people saying, you're crazy because Pittsburgh's happy to get rid of this guy. Off the field, on the field, he does weird stuff. Off the field, he's been a bad guy. But to me, a player like that is probably just frustrated because they've had lousy quarterbacks in Pittsburgh. He's not going to have that here. And the big thing that I thought about a lot is people say he's going to be disruptive here. For a player to really be disruptive, to be an Antonio Brown, a Terrell Owens, Ocho Cinco, whoever, those kind of receivers that can be really tearing up a team, you've got to be the best weapon on that team because that's what brings everybody down. Our best player is going nuts and we don't know what to do and we all sync with it. Here on a team with Dak and CeeDee Lamb, he's not going to be their number one threat. Now, he got to play great while CeeDee was out, and he's a great number two. But, if he went into his own shell or his own world, I think they would just ignore him and they would play somebody else. So I don't think that's even a worry here. The concern here with him, there's only one for me from the beginning, is you're either renting him for a year or you're going to have a second $30 million a year wide receiver after this year. And that's hard to do, but because he's free. And after what he's done already this year, he's going to make a lot of money somewhere. So they better make something out of this season because I don't know that they can, I suppose with the Micah trade they can, but they're going to have all their money spent on offense in order to keep him. But he has fit in great so far.
Who was the other player you were talking about? Because I wanted to bring up Williams that people here thought,
Williams.
Man, Dallas has just gone out and landed a turd in the year he's having for you.
Well, he averaged 4.4 yards a carry that rookie year in Denver, and he had about 900 yards. And then he got hurt early in the next year, and that was, I don't remember, but it was torn ACL, torn LCL, torn everything. Yeah. It was one of those massive knee reconstructions, and he never became that player again. But I also wonder a little bit, Sean Payton's, I think, mostly can be a great coach. I think he also gives up on players. And I wonder if he just decided this guy's damaged goods. We're going to play this rookie. We're going to play that guy. And he played guys who weren't great either. So it's not like he didn't replace him with Floyd Little. So I wonder what kind of chance he really got there. But nobody, including I'm sure the scouts, nobody expected him to, be the top in the NFC in rushing and just, except for one game, consistent up around 80 to 100 yards week after week and some explosive 30, big 30-yard run this last week, 60-something yard run against the Jets. Just very different player from anything I could have imagined based on what he did in Denver.
I think we all know that if you follow the NFL and those terrible knee injuries do occur, you don't come back for 2 years at the best, maybe 3. And so maybe we're seeing the same player that we saw in Denver when he was a rookie and was developing, and now with basically 2 years away from the game, that he's coming back to exactly what he was when he got here. I know Natasha wanted me to you worked with Natasha when she was with me on Around the Horn, and she's producing this show. And Natasha wanted me to ask you about why is there such a closeness between Dallas and Denver? All you guys come here to the mountains to go skiing. You come here to play golf. You've got the Cowboys and the Broncos. They don't play much, but the Broncos beat them practically every time they play them. Now you've had over the years this Dallas Stars Avalanche series, and the Stars just seem to own the Avalanche. And then you throw on top of that, after what the Dallas Mavericks did last season, I think everybody knows what we're talking about, and they get the best college player. And I'm looking a couple of days ago where one ESPN expert has picked Dallas to win the conference championship over the Nuggets. And I went, man, I didn't even think Dallas would be in the subject with the Denver Nuggets. But how do you just sit back and you're chuckling and Natasha's chuckling because she's the one that came up with the question?
Well, I've had a long storied love affair with the state of Colorado, Woody, as you know, since my freshman year at Boulder.
Yes. He didn't graduate from Boulder, but he spent some serious time in Boulder.
I got 27 hours under the books there. I walked into Sox Walz's office and told him I wanted to try out for the basketball team. even though I didn't play in high school.
Oh,
I
letting
had a lot of
everybody know
courage
how
back
old you
then.
are. Sox Walseth.
Yes, the Sox Walseth reference. You weren't expecting that.
Oh,
That was the team with Dave Logan and Scott Wedman. Scott
yeah.
Wedman was on that team. Anyway, to your question, yeah, a lot of people in Colorado hate a lot of people in Texas because we do come up there and ski and play golf and do all those things. Although I played golf in just outside Vail, Cordillera, Edwards.
Yes.
Yep.
Jesus, those courses ate my lunch. I don't know that I ever want to play up there again. They're beautiful, but difficult, challenging greens. But there have been some really cool sports rivalries, and part of it I think in the football realm comes from Dan Reeves coaching so long in Denver and being a Cowboy guy and all that. You go back to Super Bowl 12, the first Super Bowl Denver went to was against Dallas. Not a great game, but some of the rivalries have been intact for a long time, and especially the Stars and the Avalanche. Those two, you were there. It's those two 7-game series in '99 and 2000 when both teams were still playing in small, loud arenas, old hockey barns. Those were tremendous fan experiences and great things to cover. Even though Dallas, of course, won both, didn't have to go that way. Colorado's the only team they could beat in the playoffs. Now they can't get past the third round. But it is funny. There's been some really good rivalries, and maybe the Buffaloes one day will win the Big 12. We don't know that here, but it's been not this year.
Yeah.
Not this year.
And
They're probably
maybe
not with that coach.
maybe University of Texas will find a quarterback that's pretty good.
They had one last year, but they hated him because they were anxious to see Arch Manning play. Now they realize they need to be apologizing to Quinn Ewers for the last 2 years.
Hey, Tim, I got one more question for you, and it relates to the Cowboys.
Yes.
Will they ever win a Super Bowl with Jerry Jones as the general manager?
An excellent question. He would tell you, of course, they won 3. I would tell you that I was the beat writer on the first 2. And while he had the title, Jimmy was the one making the moves and building the team and doing everything behind the scenes. It is the question that has frustrated Cowboy fans. It will be 30 years this year, 30 years without a trip to an NFC championship game, a game the Cowboys used to play in on a regular basis. It is an incredibly long run for a team that's been pretty good a lot of that time, and been to the playoffs many times, but has terrible playoff records. Dak is 2-5 in the playoffs. Tony Romo was 2-4. There's 9 years you went to the playoffs with those two quarterbacks and never once won 2 playoff games in any of those times. So my guess would be win a Super Bowl. No. The question is, how long is he? He's fighting the clock as Woody and I and all of us are. Jerry's 82. He'll turn 83 sometime this fall. Can't remember when his birthday is. So how many years are we talking about for him? Does he have another decade at doing this? Then maybe so, but there's a lot of good teams in the NFC and a lot of teams built better than Dallas. Dallas may have a weird window to be pretty good if they could fix the defense quickly, but I don't really see how that's possible. And now if you waste a couple more years, then you're going to have lost the Dak years and you'll be on to your next quarterback.
And I would just throw in, talking about quarterbacks and stuff, that if history had taken another twist, Sean Payton would be probably the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, because he was the man behind Bill Parcells. And actually, after the game yesterday, he's talking about being on the phone with Bill Parcells. Like, he can't get past that. And he's just passed him in victories. But that is another dimension to this game, that Sean Payton has a real history of being offensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. and he went off instead to the New Orleans Saints. But I think that Jerry Jones would have always wanted to have Sean as his head coach at some point.
Yeah, that's a much discussed topic here. His time here with Parcells, and he left, a year before to go coach the Saints. Otherwise, if he'd stayed, he might have gotten the job after Parcells instead of Wade Phillips being brought in. Jerry and Sean Payton have a good relationship. Would Sean still have a good relationship if he worked for him? I'm not sure. I don't know that Sean. I know he has friends here and stuff. I don't know that he ever. Fans loved the idea of Sean Payton coming here to be the coach, and I think Jerry would have been interested in it. I don't know if Sean would have really wanted. He knew what a battle it was for a guy as powerful as Parcells to deal with Jerry on a daily basis. Parcells didn't have anything to do with Terrell Owens coming here. That's something that happened in the offseason that he had nothing to do with. That's what you have to work with Jerry. So it's fun to talk about, but probably better for Sean that he coached where he did, both places.
How much do you think that the Broncos are going to beat the Cowboys by?
You say that cynically or laughing. Dallas just has not played on the road. The Jets, they beat Justin Fields, the worst starting quarterback in the league, who I think has finally lost his job. And they've, as I mentioned earlier, they've played 4 games without a turnover. You're not going to do that forever. They're playing perfect offense, and in that stretch, they've won 2 games. So it takes a lot to make it work for Dallas. So that Bronco performance Sunday baffles me. I don't know how they didn't score for 3 quarters and then did what they did. But I think Bo Nix is pretty good, and I think that's got to be a weird boost of confidence for them to win a game like that. So I would think it's going to be somewhere in the 30 to 23 range, Denver.
I know you're close to shooting your age on the golf course. You should come back to Colorado because you might be able to do it here.
I don't buy the whole thing about the ball travels far. I hit a low ball. I don't get a lot out of that. I need hard fairways that bounce.
Well, thanks for coming on.
I'm shooting your age. I shot your age the other day, but I'm not shooting mine yet.
The only chance I have of shooting my age is if I lived to 104. Tim Cowlishaw, the second best all time, truly the best.
We're number 2. We're number 2
in everything.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Take care of yourself.
Love you, Woody. See you guys. Take care.
Woody, as always, we care about our degenerate gamblers in the audience. So let's go through some games and give them some really bad misinformation, all right?
I've got a piece of breaking news that is amazing to me, that for people around the world that don't know about it, there is gambling in Colorado.
Yes, there is.
It's allowed in the mountains, and there's casino gambling. And
I've gone up there
actually,
many times.
I'm going to be part of the Chamber of Commerce here. You can come here and actually have a Las Vegas kind of attitude in the mountains.
You can drive right up the hill 45 minutes from here.
That's a free commercial for not mentioning any of the casinos, but
there's
the
a few
casinos and the state have banned some gamblers already. They said, you're prohibited. You can't come back. And I still can't figure out that story. What did these guys do? Were they like picking up chips off
counting cards or picking up chips? Or hey, how about Oklahoma and Ole Miss? Do you have any feel on that game?
I think there's strange happenings going on at Ole Miss. There's a coach there that's got more attention at more places than anybody in the world, and they were undefeated. They have since dropped down from 2nd to 3rd place down to 8th, and I have a feeling, just pad this away, that the coach at Ole Miss is going to become the coach at Florida.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. And I think the coach at Ole Miss loves the fact that he's been bandied about for all these jobs, but I think the Florida opening, that sounds right.
Yeah, and that would
which means Oklahoma will.
That would be the 4th SEC school that he's either been the offensive coordinator
Or
or
head
head coach. And Oklahoma is trying to get back in track and not being paid much attention to, and they are ranked at 13, but they're 6-1, and Oklahoma sort of slid out of the picture for the last couple of years.
Got a close friend who's a Oklahoma alum, and he played there, and he told me this year he doesn't think they're that good. I think Oklahoma fans are spoiled. I remember when they had Stoops, and they would lose one game every year, and he always complained that they lost one game every year. So Oklahoma, they can't satisfy anybody. They're 6-1. It'll be a good ball game.
Who you got? Because
I'm going to take.
We're betting our paychecks on this. So far, I've had to reach in my wallet to give you money.
Well, you will get it back this week. I have no strong feeling on this game, but I would shade Oklahoma. You?
I'm going to take Ole Miss.
Okay.
I think it's a bounce back, and I also think that this will be a game that Ole Miss must have in order for the coach to go to Florida.
So if he loses this week, that's it.
Yeah.
Next. Hey, how about Vanderbilt? They beat LSU.
I love this story.
Their quarterback is, doing the Heisman pose in the end zone. They've got another tough test this week against Missouri.
Vanderbilt really hasn't been a team factor in the Southeastern Conference.
Since maybe ever.
Well, I was going to say late in World War II, was 48 or 49 was the last time Vanderbilt had a really great football team. Missouri hasn't had a really good football team. Got better last year since a guy named Drew Lock was a quarterback
Firing
there.
it for them, yeah.
This is an interesting game because you, again, have two teams that are 6-1.
Yeah.
There are 6-1 teams all over the Southeastern Conference, but none of them are rated now in the top three, I think.
Vanderbilt sold me last week. I'm going to take Vanderbilt in this game. I like the quarterback. I think they got something going.
I used to, when I was going to school at Tennessee, I'd drive from Memphis to Knoxville, and I'd always stop at Vanderbilt because they had a great donut shop.
I knew it was going to be food related. I've known you for 50 years. I knew it would be something.
So me going to Vanderbilt was like stopping there for donuts. And my only other Vanderbilt story is covering the Broncos, who played the Titans.
Yes.
In the Vanderbilt Stadium when the Titans came from Houston to Nashville, and I got locked in the stadium. And I called the police department, and I said, I'm locked in here. And they said, we don't know how to get in the stadium.
So you're tough.
Can't you climb over a wall? I said, I don't know. So that's a story that means nothing, and you can edit that out.
Who are you going with, Vanderbilt or Missouri?
I'm taking Missouri.
Okay.
Because I always wanted to go to Missouri, but I couldn't afford to go to Missouri.
LSU, Texas A&M, undefeated Texas A&M against LSU.
Speaking of coaches, the LSU coach, Kelly, is 2 days away from not going to Florida, 2 days away from not being back in Louisiana again
Is he
next
still
year.
Speaking with a Southern accent? Because his next job, if he goes to New England, he's got to get the Bostonian accent.
The last undefeated SEC team, and you wouldn't have suspected at beginning of the year that it'd be Texas A&M, but
Nope.
I got to take Texas A&M.
So do I.
I don't think LSU is just
not
a
that
really
good.
average team.
They're an
this
average.
year.
They're not that good.
And I don't like Kelly as a coach.
I don't
really,
either.
Or as a person. So
we both agree Texas A&M. Okay. Let me just start here. Colorado, Utah. I watched the BYU-Utah game Saturday night. I was impressed with both BYU and Utah. Utah's a heavy favorite in this game. I hate to say this. It hurts, but I'm going to take Utah in this game.
Why does that hurt?
Because
You
I
don't
want
like
to. I
Utah?
live here in Denver. I had
Go
people
Buffs,
that,
upset. I'm calling
see
it.
you. I hope you're right. Listen, anything's possible. CU hasn't shown me enough that they can go in. Utah, Kyle Whittingham does a good job. They're a tough team. They're a physical team. BYU is terrific. They took them right down to the end. I got to go with Utah.
At the start of the season, I thought Colorado would just get to the bowl spot, and their favorite fan died recently.
That's true.
And they wanted to get to a bowl for him. They're not trying to be in the national playoff or
they got to win 3 more games.
Winning divisions, but this is not where they're going to win one of those
No.
games. I think there are some on the schedule upcoming.
I agree.
They have
Not
good
this one, though.
chances. No, I like Utah every year. They have a great coaching staff over
They do.
there. They have a good fan base that I don't think people really pay attention to around the country. And Utah's a better team this year than I think a lot of people suspect.
Yeah, I agree with you. Utah, that BYU game was a terrific game. Oh, we got the pro games tonight. The Vikings at the Chargers. Let me ask you something. What the hell has happened to the Chargers?
Well, I ask you, what in the hell happened with the Vikings? So I picked
The Eagles beat them. They bounced back as I knew they would.
Okay, the Vikings are surprising me because they don't look any good to me.
No, they
The
don't.
last game, they didn't look any good. The Chargers don't have a running game. I thought that, everybody thought this was going to be for years and years, Sean Payton and Harbaugh.
Yep.
The two guys that were really the finalists for the Denver Broncos
Exactly.
job, and they both end up in the same division. And last year, the Chargers were stronger than Harbaugh than the Broncos. I think the Chargers are a suck team. I don't know the other way to put it. I don't think they're any good. I am going to go back to the Vikings and pick them again because I don't think the Chargers.
You clearly are making, like the Giants defensive coordinator, the same mistake twice. The Chargers are not any good. They are a suck team. But this is a circle the wagons game for Harbaugh. They have to win this game or the season is going to float away. I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm going to lay the 2.5 that they're going to beat the dog Minnesota Vikings.
Skull.
Hell, okay. I don't know. Cowboys, Broncos, maybe the game of the day. Maybe the best offense this side of Kansas City comes into Denver, Woody, to play a team that I thought had the best defense in the NFL, but my confidence is shaken with that.
I'm not really worried about the Broncos' defense. I would like for their players not to get suspended by attacking
referees. That would
after
help.
the game's over.
Yes, that would
That's
help.
a good time to get a flag thrown.
Especially for a guy who got a lot of money and hadn't played yet.
Yeah. The offense scares me. And two weeks ago, and I saw it show up on YouTube again in passing, that I said to you at that time, I'm still not sold on Bo Nix. I'm not sold on the offense. I'm not sold on Sean Payton. And I said this the first show we had. Sean Payton was the worst play caller during the exhibition season. They let the quarterback coach call the plays. They let the offensive coordinator call the plays. He called them, Sean Payton did, the last game of the exhibition season. He was the worst of the three guys. We saw a dull, boring screen offense. When I mean screen offense, he's in love with the screen pass. I have never seen a team in Denver that throws more passes that are directly 1 yard or directly behind you.
I know. He doesn't want to run the ball, and I don't understand why.
He reminds me, and you and I were there.
Yeah.
Dan Reeves wanted John Elway to play it conservatively and win at the end.
He wanted to win every game 20-17.
Yeah, and John Elway wanted to be aggressive. Bo Nix wants to run the football. He wants to throw downfield. But if you watch that game for the first half, forget about the third quarter. The first half, I saw 17 screen passes. How many passes did you see to Sutton down the field? Maybe 2 attempts. But I'm seeing R.J. Harvey getting passes, winging out for 2 yards. I'm seeing Bo Nix throwing the ball backward. I mean, it could be described as a
thought
fumble.
It was a poorly coached game on both sides. Before we go, Steelers and Packers.
Well, I'm picking Broncos, by the way.
I'm going to take the Broncos, too.
Take the Broncos.
I'm going to take the Packers in this game. I don't think the Steelers are any good. I think we saw that against the Bengals. I think the Packers started hot, had a little lull. They're pretty good. I'll take the Packers.
And I'm going with the Steelers.
Okay.
I still have faith in. I thought Aaron Rodgers played a great game.
He did.
He just got beat at the end. But
Joe Flacco played a little bit better, but they both played well, especially for two
That's
guys
got to be
over 40.
embarrassing to Rodgers is to be beat by Joe Flacco.
By another 40-year-old guy. I got to ask you, are the Dodgers, based on all the money they spend and all the superstars they have, are they the new Yankees? Are they the team that America is going to root against next week?
Well, when you consider that they haven't been back-to-back World Series champions in 25 years.
Something like that, yeah.
The Dodgers' payroll is so considerable.
It's
when you
enormous.
add the tax they have to pay, it's over $500 million. And they come back, which I think is a great point, and they say,
We got to start over. I'm sorry.
no problem.
Sorry. There was a little technical thing at the beginning.
That's all
We're
right.
all set now, and we can restart. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And
let's
I'll set you up
I'm
same
like,
way.
okay, well, perfect. Now I have the clock.
Anytime? Woody, the World Series starts on Friday. Dodgers, Blue Jays. We see the odds there. The Dodgers are heavily favored. I got to ask you, are the Dodgers with their payroll, are they the new Yankees? Are they the team that baseball fans across America are going to root against?
We don't know that this is going to last for a while, though, because the ownership around the league don't want the Dodgers
Don't like
to
it.
have the biggest payroll, one that's over $500 million.
Not
but
happy with
as
it.
the Dodgers respond to that, they take all of that money, they say, and I think there's truth to this, and they put it back into the
That's
team.
why they're in the World Series
Yeah.
in back-to-back years.
They gave Ohtani $700 million in total amount that he'll eventually get. And in the first year, they got most of that money back in sponsorships with Japanese companies.
But I can see why the other owners are not happy with the Dodgers. They all want to be like Tampa Bay. You know, spend very little, have some success. They don't want to spend $1 billion.
But there is a question, the Blue Jays, who also have a pretty strong
They do?
payroll, that it proves that you don't have to spend the $500 million to get to the World Series. It took every moment of their life to get into the World Series. I've watched that. Mariners Blue
Game
Jays.
7 was a great game. It was a great game.
I didn't think, and I told you 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said, I don't think I see the Dodgers repeating because it doesn't happen. But what they do have is they've got a 4th-string starting pitcher that also can give you 3 home runs in a game.
And again, yeah, which might be the forget the might be, the greatest performance ever. Tell me a way, and listen, you're right about the Blue Jays. Their payroll is better. But the key to the Blue Jays season came in spring training when they signed Vladimir Guerrero to a long-term deal, and Vladimir Guerrero has been the best player in the playoffs.
Sure, and they've managed to do all of this without Dante Bichette's son.
That's true. That's a great point. He has not played since about the 1st of September. If he were to come back, would you give the Blue Jays a chance?
No, I don't now, and I was wrong 3 weeks ago when I said Dodgers aren't going to win it. They have a better starting rotation.
Much better.
They have a better leadoff hitter.
Much better. Keep going because they have the advantage everywhere.
You don't know what all of this dancing Hernandez is in the outfield.
Kike and Teoscar.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Freddie Freeman shows up, whatever he was.
Yeah.
At shortstop, you go, Smith's back and healthy again.
But let me say this. You and I both know this because we're old baseball fans. We can go back in time and look at a number of World Series where some player out of the woodwork comes out and has a great World Series, whether it's Gene Tennis from the Oakland A's.
Sure.
There's always a guy, and there may be some guy in Toronto that we're not thinking about that comes out and, hits 600 and plays great. I'm hoping that happens for an interesting World Series.
I think we're both pulling for a
Yeah.
long World Series.
Yes.
And if the Blue Jays were to win it, I'm not anti-Dodgers. I'm not
I'm not either.
Blue Jays.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see a great series, and I'd like to see somebody like the Blue Jays. We're talking 32 years.
Yes. Since they've been there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're spoiled, but 32 years is a long time.
I was at the last one when they played the Phillies.
Yes.
And what I remember distinctly, it shows you my stories, is I was having to travel back and forth between Philadelphia and Toronto.
Which is not easy.
I'm in a hotel in Toronto, and I got to catch a flight at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to Philadelphia. And there's a wedding reception in the room next to me all night long. See, you and your friends tell these great sports stories. My sports stories are, gee, how am I going to get to sleep? Do you
want me to tell our listeners and viewers the greatest story you ever told me? I don't even know if you remember this, that has nothing to do with sports. Can I tell it?
Sure.
Okay, Woody and I were on the road. This had to be at least 30 years ago, and I can't remember where we were. And Woody told me the story, Natasha. I'm not making this up. He can confirm this, that he was busy, and I think we had a cocktail, and we were going up to our rooms. And I think I left first, and Woody went to go on the elevator, and a lady of the evening came up to Woody and said, for $200, I'll go up to your room and do whatever you want. And Woody said to the woman, okay, write a game story in a sidebar, and we got a deal. Now, is that true?
Yeah, that's good.
Well, and so did she do it?
We don't want to go that far. We'll just...
She figured out what column, column could be something against a wall, but sidebar she couldn't figure that out.
But I always remembered, Natasha, that story because he told me that like the next day, and I couldn't stop laughing.
No,
and I remembered it forever. One of the great Woody Page stories.
In that series with Toronto.
And one that I don't think has actually been told before, which is kind of rare nowadays.
Toronto is in a dome stadium, and they have a hotel that's windows are
look over the. Oh,
they look over the ballpark.
Cool. And so I'm there for the opening game of it may not have been the opening game. I think the series opened in Philadelphia. The first World Series game in Toronto, and with binoculars, you could see into the hotel rooms, and there were people having sex in the rooms watching the game. And that is a true story.
On that note, we're both picking the Dodgers, right?
Yes, but we're hoping that it's
a
long season,
7-game series. We don't want to see what the Dodgers did to the Brewers in the World Series.
We've got a great competition. You're talking about who's going to be good. I don't think it's going to be somebody that's coming out of the woodwork. I think it's going to be one of the two guys
Guerrero,
who've had
Springer.
Incredible postseasons and are great superstars.
Yeah, Guerrero, Ohtani. Hope it's a great series. We agree on that.